Hey, if you think the Power Automate desktop is only about dragging and dropping actions, then you are missing the real power. In today's episode, we'll learn about 15 different text manipulation functions which can change your automation to a real programming powerhouse. Let us learn this lesson in a two-part series. In the part 1, we will learn all the basics of how to use this function, and in the part 2, we will learn how to use these functions for a real-life problem. Let us jump directly to the course. To learn each functions what we have seen, let us create a new flow and call it text manipulation function demo. And without fail, let us enable the PowerFX over here because we are going to see all the functions which are coming under the PowerFX enabled flow. First thing what we are going to learn is to initialize a variable as blank. For that, let us go to the variable section and set variable. Let me call this variable as my variable and equal to a function called blank of. So what is this blank of function? A blank of function initializes a variable with a null value, and you can assign any type of value in a later stage. It can be a string or a text, or it can be a date, it can be a number, or it can even be a list. To check whether my variable is blank or it is having some value, you have another function which also we will learn. We'll call it as isIt blank, and there is a function called isBlank, and inside that you can select the variable which you are going to check whether it is blank or not. So it will show a warning. We can safely ignore it for now, and if I run this flow, it will show my isIt blank as true because we have not assigned any value to my variable. Now, let me assign some value to my variable before I check it. I choose my variable and I will assign some text, my name. You can notice as soon as I assigned some text value to it, the my variable property has become a text. Earlier, it was, if I delete it, for example, it is X inside the braces. Now let me Control Z, I will add it, and now if I run it, now isIt blank is false because we already have a value. So now as soon as I assign the text to my variable, the variable type has become text. What if I am assigning a number? I say 2000 for example. Now if you notice my variable, it has become a number. It has become a numeric variable. Let me assign a text for my variable as, I'll give some spaces here and say my name is, and give some more spaces here and say Mutturaj. Let me delete this is blank for now. We don't need it. Now what I am going to do, in my variable, I have assigned a text value which is having some length. I want to check what is the length of this particular string. How can I do that? I can use one function. Let us define a variable called text length, and I can use len of and the variable for which I want to find the length. If I run it, the text what I have typed is having a total of 57 characters including the spaces. So whether I can use only my variable inside the length? No, not necessary. I can directly type a text also. So I given len of my name is Mutturaj, and now if I run, it will give the length of this particular string. Okay, now let me revert back the variable itself. Okay, in a practical situation, suppose if you are reading some text and if it is having some space before the text or space after the text, it is very difficult to manipulate. So I want to remove text before the start of my sentence as well as the text which is there after the end of my sentence, that is trailing spaces as well as leading spaces. Let me change this to provide some more spaces over here. Let me do it this way. Let me use a set variable, a variable called end space removed, and I have a function called TrimEnds, and I can use my variable. Now let us run and see. So my variable is like this. You have space in the beginning of the sentence and you have space at the end of the sentence also, and the total length is 66 characters. But after I remove these spaces, my left side spaces are removed and also my right side spaces are also removed, and if I am finding the length of it again, I say something called len of trimmed, and I use a len function and end space removed, and if I run again, so my original text was having 66 characters length, and after trimming the spaces on the left as well as right hand side, it has become 51 characters length. But again, there are spaces between my name is and the name of and my name Mutturaj. How can I remove it? Is there any single function which can remove all the spaces and give me a clear sentence which is having space only between my words and no space on the left hand side, no space on the right hand side, no additional spaces between the words also? Yes, we have something, and that is called, let me call it as my character sentence, a simple function called trim of, and give my variable and close it, and if I run, I get my character sentence which has removed spaces on the left hand side as well as the spaces on the right hand side and spaces in between. It provides only one space between each words and makes it a perfect sentence. Next, let us learn few more text related functions called StartsWith and EndsWith. Before that, let us clean up this particular flow so that we are working with some simple other text. I am assigning this text instead of this. I say that invoice 00226/2026. I have an invoice number like this. What I want, I get this as one of the input in our flow. I will confirm that it is an invoice number if the first three characters are INV, and also I want to validate whether it belongs to the current year. How can I find out? So there is a function. Let us set a variable. I'll call it as IsStartsWith. This is the variable name. I have a function called StartsWith, and inside that I select my variable, comma, and I will the value which I want to check, INV. Checks whether the my variable is starting with these characters called INV. It can be INV or it can be only IN or it can be only I. Anything can be checked. Now, if it is starting with INV, my 𝗃�startsWith is going to return a true value, otherwise it is going to return a false value. If I run it, so it is true. Now, if instead of capital INV, if I say small inv, what will happen? Then also it will return a true value. That means the StartsWith function is case insensitive. In a similar way, you can find whether the text ends with 2026 too. So let us create another one variable. I say IsEndsWith. The similar way, I select my variable, comma, for example, I say 2026. And if it ends with 2026, it will return true. Otherwise, it is going to return a false. Since we have this 2026, it is going to return a true value. Suppose if I am instead of 2022, if I say 1A over here, hypothetically. Now if I run, it will come as a false because the value over here is 202A6, but we are checking whether it ends with 2026. So that is a false. Similar to StartsWith, the EndsWith also is case insensitive. That is, even though your original text is having all capital or all small, your variable over here, whatever text it may be, small letter or capital letter, it will find the result. Now we learn two functions, StartsWith and EndsWith. Let us go to the next function. Before that, let me clean these things. You will see all these things work together in our next video where we will be seeing a live practical demo. So I am going to change this my variable back to my name is Mutturaj and I am from Bangalore. Now, is like I want to find exactly at which character position is Bangalore. How can I find it? So for that also we have one simple function where let us call a variable as where is Bangalore, and you have a function called find. What this find does, first you need to mention what you want to find. So I want to find Bangalore. Where do you want to find? I want to find it inside my variable. I say save, and if I run, it will say at the character position 35 is where the word called Bangalore starts. Now, in the earlier example, we have seen that the INV, that is, we check for INV and we check for 2026, and we said like whether it is a small letter or a capital letter, it will find. Let us check whether the find is working the same way. Instead of capital B, if you look at our text, it says, let me close it, it says, my name is Mutturaj and I am from Bangalore with B as capital letter and rest of the thing as small letter. Now what I am going to do here is I am going to change the B to a small letter. Let me find whether it works. It says blank. It means it cannot find. So we can infer that the find is case sensitive and both the text you are comparing should match the case. How can we overcome that? It is not possible for us to always ensure both are having the correct case. So we will do a shortcut by using another function that we will change both this, the text to find as well as the text from which we need to find, to either lowercase or uppercase. So let us do it. We'll call it as upper of Bangalore, comma, upper of my variable. So we are converting Bangalore also to upper and my variable also to upper, and now if we run, it will say it is at character position 35. You can either change both to upper or you can change both to lower. In both the cases, we need to ensure that our brackets are properly opened and closed. Now if I run, you will get the result. Okay, so we find the character position where Bangalore starts. Now I have one more requirement. I want to extract first 10 characters from my string from the left hand side. I mean the first 10 characters of my sentence, I want to extract it and assign it to a new variable. And similarly, from the right, I want to extract some 20 characters and assign it to a new variable. How can I do that? Let me take a variable. Let me call it as left value. You can give any name you like. And I have a function called left, and then define from which text you want to extract the value, and you mention how many number of characters you want to extract. I say 10 characters I want to extract. And similarly, I write value and say right of my variable, and I'm going to take 20 characters from here. Now if I run, left 10 characters it has taken as my name is, and right value it has taken 20 characters and it is displaying the value, and it has been assigned to right value. Now you don't want it from the left end or you don't want it from the right end, but I want from the middle. This is my variable, and I want from the middle, I want to extract this name. So how can I do it? So which character position it starts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So my name starts at the 12th character, and I don't remember how many characters are there in my name. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And my name is having 8 characters in total. So I can define another variable and call a function. Let's call it my name. My name is nothing else, but I will use a function called made, and I will take it from my variable, comma, I think if I remember it is 12th position, and I will take 8 characters. Now if I run, it has extracted from the middle. So we learned 3 functions: left, right, and mid. All these things we will be using in our practical situation when we are reading an email and processing, when we are reading in Excel and processing, and in many cases we need this. For example, we are extracting a log file and parsing the data and processing it. During those times, all the string manipulation or text manipulation functions will be very handy. That is why we are having a separate session for it. I just have one request. If you like this video, please like it and share it with your friends who may be students or working professionals. And in addition to that, you please subscribe to this channel And if you have any comments or any additional requirements, please comment in the video. Thank you. Let us see the next set of functions. Okay, so we learned about the left, the right, and the mid. Next, I have my name. My name is 𝗵𝗀𝗵𝗶 and I am from Bangalore. I want to change the name. Instead of my name is 𝗵𝗀𝗵𝗶, I want to say my name is David. How can I do that? So let me clean up this particular thing. We don't need it. You will see everything together in our next video. Okay. The first thing we are going to learn is there are two ways by which you will be able to replace a part of the text. The first one is called a replace function. The next one is called a substitute function. First, let us see the replace and then the substitute and find the difference between these two. So, first let us use a function called replaced text. The replaced text, what I am going to use is using a function called replace, and replace will work this way. That is my variable, and we already learned that 𝗵𝗀𝗵𝗃 is starting at 12. So we will start at 12, and how many characters we are going to replace? We are going to replace 8, and the value we are going to replace it with is called David. Now, if I run, you will get a replaced text as my name is David and I am from Bangalore. So it may look a little complex, but let me reiterate how we are doing it. So the replace function uses 4 parameters. First is the text in which we need to replace the value. Next is from which part of the text, which character position of the text we want to replace, and how many characters we need to replace, and what is the text which we need to use to replace. Let us do it with a simple example instead of using my variable and other thing. So let me create it as a new variable. I define a variable called simple replace. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a replace and call it 𝐴, B, C, D, E, and here the C I'm going to replace it with X. So what is the character position of C? It is in 3rd position. And how many characters we are going to replace? We are going to replace only 1. And what is it we are going to replace it with? We are going to replace it with X. And close it. So if we run it, it will give a sample replace as ABXDE. Our original text was ABCDE, and after replacement it is ABXDE. Hope you have understood. Now let me delete this one. Okay. Now we have a variable called replace text where my name 𝗵𝗀𝗵𝗃 has been replaced it with David. So the replaced text looks like this. My name is David and I am from Bangalore. But actually, David is not from Bangalore. David is from New Delhi or Delhi. Very simple term. So I want to replace Bangalore with Delhi. And here I am going to say I am going to substitute Bangalore with Delhi. So how can I do that? The simplest way is let me define a variable called substituted text, and I say substitute, a function called substitute, and I am using replace text because that is the text which is having my name is David and I am from Bangalore, and say which one you are going to substitute. Bangalore is going to be substituted with Delhi. That's it. So simple. Now if you run, The substituted text, if you look at, my name is David and I am from Delhi. So if you know exactly the word or a part of the text which need to be changed, you can use a substitute. If you don't know that and you know only the position where it is going to start and up to what length it has, for example, it may come in the invoice number and all those scenarios, you can use replace text. Both provide almost a similar result, but the way it is implemented is different. Now, let us look at a scenario where your input is a comma separated value or it is a delimited value. It can be comma separated or it may be space separated, tab separated, or it may be pipeline character separated, anything. We need to split it and create a list. How can we do that? Let me delete all these things for now. And the value I am getting is A, B, C, D. Everything is separated by a comma. How can I make it a list which can be processed one by one? For that, we have a function, let us call it as value list. We have a function called split, and which variable you want to split, you define first, and then what is the character which is used for separating each item. In this case, it is comma is the item. And if you look at that, the result has become a list, and if I run, it produces a list as value A, value of item 1 is A, value of item 2 is B, like that it creates. Now, is it only comma which we can separate? No. Let us see one or two more examples. I have only space between here. And now I can go to the split and instead of comma, I am just giving a space in between. This also will work. Only thing is that we need to say in our split function exactly what is the character which is separating each item. Now let us take another example. I have a variable which is a line of items. My name is Mutturaj and I am from Bangalore. I have some 5 lines in a paragraph. Now, how can I split it? So, these lines are separated with a character called carriage return. That carriage return is specified as another function called char, and it is represented by numbers. So the value of carriage return is 10 and I close. I am splitting it. That value is my variable, and the character which is used as a delimiter is a carriage return which is called char 10. And now if I run, I get the result like this. So whatever functions we have learned are going to be used in our next video, where we will be seeing a practical usage of all these functions. Sounds good? Thank you very much. And that's all for today's video. And as we said earlier, we will be looking at a practical scenario in our next video. Until then, bye-bye. Please feel free to make your comments. Thank you.